Thanks for the warm welcome, Manuel. So I'd like to start the PPT. I hope you can see my screen. I hope you can see the PPT. Okay, I'll go ahead. So today we are going to discuss about University Outreach Initiative. So who are we? I'm sorry, I just can't see the slide. Yeah, now I. Yeah.
You can also share your right. The slide.
Yeah. So I'm Saloni. I'm an avid open source contributor, and I love data science and DevRel. And my fellow presenter will be Gaurav Agrawal, who is a GNOME Foundation member and a software developer at squad.io. And he loves community engagement. So we are going to discuss about University Outreach Initiative, which is an initiative by GNOME to involve more and more students and to make the environment more inclusive for them. So how is it going to help the students? We'll discuss all these points one by one. First one is improve skills. So the University Outreach Initiative is a great program for students to improve their technical skills by making contributions to a large code base, which is being used by a lot of companies and organizations across the world. So this way they get a real life experience of contributing to a large code base, which is otherwise difficult to obtain. Next thing is networking. So this will be a great opportunity for the students to network and to find potential mentors and add them to their professional network. So this is a great opportunity to connect with people outside of your country, outside of your professional network, and build a long-lasting relation with them. Next is recognition. So this is a great, chance to get recognized for your efforts, for your contributions to open source. And we all know that open source contributions look amazing on a resume. So this will be a chance for them to get recognized for all their efforts. Next is rewards. We'll be rewarding the students with swags and badges for their contributions. This will help us. This will help the students to keep their interest into the program and to be rewarded and to be excited for what's coming up next. Next is why are students important? So this is a general question. Why are students important to open source organizations? Students play a lot of important role. So one of them is they are always eager to contribute more. They have a lot of time on their hand and they are always looking for opportunities to contribute more, to expand their network, to expand their skill set, and to uh, contribute to the code base. Next is they help in effective outreach. How do they help in effective outreach? Well, students have a very tightly packed network. For example, a student student is a part of community clubs, community campus societies, and all that. So they are a great way to reach more and more number of audience, where the audience is potential future open source contributors. So they are all technical people, a bunch of technical people who are very closely networked. So they help in effective outreach by reaching out to all those people. Next is they volunteer at events and conferences. Being a student, I know how much we wait for, the next event or conferences so that we can find an opportunity to volunteer there. This is a great opportunity for the students to be involved into an organization so that they can find opportunities to volunteer at events and conferences. Next one is students become future mentors and maintainers. So this will be a great initiative to get them involved into the organization at such an early stage so that they can become like good future mentors and maintainers in the future. Next, they bring in new perspectives. So the students bring in new perspectives. Their thinking is all fresh, and they bring in fresh perspectives to the organization. Next is how does the University Outreach Initiative catalyzes the process of onboarding new contributors. This is a short timeline which shows how a student gets involved with GNOME step by step. So firstly, student gets involved with GNOME in university outreach program. Like we reach out to the student, or in some or the other way, the student gets involved with the university outreach program. First of all, then they get prerequisite knowledge transferred from the UO team. The UO team, that is the University Outreach team, has a lot of mentors and maintainers and guides who are willing to volunteer their time to actually get the student involved into the organization properly, and for him to understand all the process, how things work here, and uh, like everything. So they get a prerequisite knowledge transfer from our team, which will be telling them how the stuff works and how they can contribute and everything. Next, using this knowledge, they organize events and help students at their universities. So once the orientation of a new contributor is completed, then they'll organize events at their respective universities so that they can involve more and more number of students there. And next, a large pool of students from the events get onboarded with projects and initiatives. So the students who will attend their talks and events will now be involved with our UO program, and they'll start again from the step one. Next is regional communities with campus representatives. So campus representatives play a huge role in reaching out to more and more students. It becomes difficult to manage a large student audience without having key points of contacts at their respective colleges. So campus representatives will be our key point of contact at different universities. They'll be the ones who will be responsible for conducting events, for uh, ensuring that the process is going smooth and everyone is able to, nobody is feeling left out. Everyone is able to give their inputs and everyone is comfortable and to um, tell us about more ideas, what can be more beneficial for their respective college and all that. So the problems that we are solving with campus representatives is that the community and the entire big community becomes easily manageable when it is divided to small communities with the help of campus representatives. And we get more participation in local events since the campus representative have their own influence and they'll be able to reach out to a lot of students. So this will have increased participation at local events and more active leaders. With this, we'll have more number of active leaders from different colleges who are actively participating in all our programs and who are helping us expand the UO program. Now I'll hand over to Gaurav.
Hi everyone. So how does campus representatives help? So the way we're trying to solve this problem is by looking at universities. So they're like having lots of students out there. So we want to have someone whom we can talk with, and we can basically help manage the university or a local chapter there, or a club of students through a single person of contact. And the point where Saloni talked about how are we going to catalyze the process of onboarding. So student campus representatives would be a great way on this particular point as well. So basically, when we will be going to the universities for the outreach, these people are going to be our first point of contact. And mm, the the knowledge transfer which we talked about in the previous slides. So basically it involves the basic steps which are, the a big hurdle for anyone coming out. So things like the newcomer's guide, and how to download the project, and how to build it, and where are the IRCs or the chat help. So these are really little things, but people struggle. But from even my perspective and whatever I have seen in the student communities out there, they struggle a lot with these problems, and they need someone to guide them throughout this little process, because in universities, most of us are technically good, but they don't know the proper resources out there where they can start the process of getting involved with open source. So in this particular point, we'll be preparing the campus representative first on this particular point, and I will be guiding through this knowledge first to campus representatives, so that they can share the whole knowledge to a larger pool of students. And this way, we think that it's going to help a lot, and this is probably also going to save a lot of time for ourselves also, because we won't be handling the repetitive questions where people ask that how to build this certain project, how to download it, how to clone, or things related to Git, etc. And that is why we think that campus representatives are a great way to solve these problems. So while designing this program, we were looking at a lot of student programs which organization across the world are trying to, organizations across the world are trying to outreach to students. And one such really active and great program is GSoC. So in GSoC, lots of us in the audience have already seen that this GSoC students who participated with us in our community are now your colleagues. So, for example, Philippe is there. He used to be a GSoC student of Zenix, and now he works with Zenix, and and a lot of other contributors are also here, like Carlos and uh, I mean, I can take a lot of names, but yeah. So basically, GSoC gave GNOME a lot of maintainers and even colleagues at your work, right? And then GSoC students, in fact, even like me or Philippe, are really active in trying to get on board new members as much as they can in their local communities or in their past. So, for example, Philippe is graduated from college, but he still tries to connect back to the students at their college and tries to onboard, tries to tries to motivate them, inspire them to connect with open source and handle their doubts. So GSoC contributors in general, and not just in GNOME, but have helped a lot of students to get in GSoC programs and in open source as well. So, and you can also see a lot of videos and blog posts in internet where they are trying to say that this is how I got into GSoC, this is how I got into open source. So they try to, the GSoC students are trying, getting a lot of traffic or a lot of contributors in open source organizations. But the problem with GSoC is that there are not a lot of GSoC students who stick around after the completion of the program. So they just leave, and for example, 10 GSoC students got into GNOME this year, and maybe only one will be left by the end. And then, but the thing is that even 1% gets left, one who left, the one who stays, they are really of great value for us. And that is why we think that we should not think about you know how much of the share which we are getting out of these programs, but we should think about how much bigger we can make the pie. So basically, we cannot control how much seats we are getting from GSoC and how much students we are getting from GSoC, and ultimately how much of the percentages we are getting converted later on. We should try, and obviously we cannot control GSoC. So the solution is to try to create or innovate new programs. For example, outreach is there. So just try to create more programs where we can onboard more students. So that is where we think that university outreach is a great program. So the things we try to learn from GSoC is and bring in our university outreach program is, first of all, target audience. So we think that you can outreach to anyone. You can outreach to professionals. You can outreach to freelancers. You can outreach to anyone. But I think that GSoC tries to outreach to students for open source. So the thing which students, why they are really great for outreaching for open source, Saloni already explained in her particular slides before. And one of the thing why students are already looking for, because this is directly connected with their jobs. So basically, open source helps students directly, sometimes getting a job, and sometimes through networking. And even it open source does not help them directly, but in their resumes they can write that we've contributed to particular this code base or something like that, and that really adds a value to the students. And most importantly, the experience they gain, the memories they make around these open source communities is of much value for any students. So even in my particular university, I've seen a lot of students who are really eager to get into open source, but they are, just directionless, and that's where we want to help them out. So talking about how you can help us in this particular programs. So we just don't want you to mentor the students. So we want to help students. We want you to help the students as their guides. So basically, even little things can help a lot of help generate a lot of momentum for us. So you can do things like inspiring student. You can just join the university outreach team, and we can include you in our events at universities. You could just give a little talk where you can share your own story, how open source helped you, and things like that. So basically, when someone sees an example of a person getting successful using open source, students value those experiences a lot. So that could be a one way where you can help the students. And as already said, that the students who will be onboarding with us, so they'll be already getting covered with the basic stuff, which is not related to your domain, which is generalized. So those generalized doubts will already be taken care of. So when they contribute with them, when they join for your specific project, so you just need to guide them with, you can just review their MRs like you review the MRs of your regular co-workers or your regular co-maintainers, and you can help them guide in networking. Okay, so for example, if you are looking for a C++ project or a Python project, or you're looking for newcomers initiative, or maybe you're looking for outreach, then you can reach out to Shri. So sometimes that networking could also help out. So these are really little ways in which you can help us out and the students, and they could create a lot of impact on the lives of the students and also for our organization's growth. And of course, if anyone is really interested to, if you like the student lot who is contributing to your project, then you can also go, whatever for at whatever depth you want to mentor the students. You can take projects, and that is just a bigger picture that can happen later on. So how the students help, how the university program helps your project's growth. So in this particular part, we think that obviously we can learn also from GSoC that students always help to grow the project's contributor network. There are a lot of one student will be your project's contributor, then later on they'll outreach to two more, then those two will outreach to many. So basically when one, for example, myself, I learned a lot from open source, and that is why I'm doing the outreach right now. So I know that how much value it brings for our own professional lives, and how much we enjoy being here in the community. So what we like, we advertise out. And then of course, when there are like little things, little projects, little features or bugs that you don't have time to solve for, they can always be taken up by the students, and you can focus more on the hard part, and just raise the newcomers issue, and they could be taken care of out by the students. And as well as those issues will be helping out as a learning chance for the students to work upon. And of course, in this case, when students get on board your project, it will be like a 360-degree growth for your project, because the bugs will be getting solved out, the features will be getting delivered, and they'll be outreaching as well for onboarding new contributors. And we're not just helping out for the, reaching out for the coding part of the project. We are also trying to onboard students for the various teams like engagement, design. It's just not about coding. So they'll be helping out in the design teams and other teams as well. So basically you can mentor, even the design teams can also mentor the students, coding team also can also mentor the students. So that's how we think that having students around would be really beneficial for the growth of GNOME in general and the open source. So yeah.
You have 5 more minutes.
Now, how far we have reached today? We have already conducted our very first university outreach event, and I will come back to that in the next slide. And we have our wiki page in place. The wiki page enlists all the things ranging from what are the missions and aim of this program, and what we are looking forward to in our next event, what have we already done, and what is the roadmap for our next set of actions. You can visit the wiki page. We have the link in the last slide. Next is we have onboarded a few mentors already. A few people from GNOME have already shown interest in becoming mentors and volunteering their time for guiding new students and onboarding new contributors. Next, we have planned some future events. Like I am talking to some universities in India, and Regina is talking to some universities in Africa, and similarly, we have some other people as well who are uh, helping us in the outreach of this program. And we have some future events planned. Next is we have figured out the roadmap for our next set of actions. So we will be including swags and badges for rewarding students for their contributions. This will be a great way for them to stay engaged and excited about the work that is coming up next. And we are going through meetings regularly, which where we decide what to do next and how to improve the entire process. So coming back to the very first university outreach event that we conducted, change the slide, please. Yeah, coming back to the first university outreach event that we conducted, this was conducted by me and Amit. Amit is a fellow contributor uh, on YouTube. And so the speakers there were I, Amit, and Martin from GNOME. The main focus was on helping students to get involved into GNOME, to provide them a basic introduction to what GNOME does, who we are, what we do, and how things work here, and on Google Summer of Code. So this program, Google Summer of Code, works as one of the best entry points for students to enter into the world of open source in their early in their professional careers. So the main focus was on how we can get involved into Google Summer of Code, and what projects does GNOME have in this Google Summer of Code program, and how can you contribute. So we saw a lot of engagement into this event, and a lot of comments from the students who were interested in helping in different domains. For example, some were interested in helping in UI UX, some in backend, and some in front end development. So we saw a huge interest, and this was like a successful program, successful event. Next is so if you have any ideas or if you want to get involved, please feel free to email us on this email address, universityoutreach@gnome.org, and this is the link to our wiki page. Thank you so much for listening to us, for having us, and see you at the BOF session. The BOF session, at the BOF session, we invite your inputs, and please feel free to share anything you think that will be beneficial for this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Saloni. Thank you, Gaurav.